part two of today's podcast, talking about the fact that Russian money once again has been funneled into the coffers of this political pig, Donald Trump, the favorite of the Christians in this country, to turn this country into a Christian autocracy, a Christian fascist government, kind of like the one they have in Russia. Anyway, the indictment that was handed down yesterday, on Wednesday, the indictment also says that the so-called Company One is registered in Tennessee and that it changed its name on May 22nd of 2023. Tennessee Secretary of State records, according to NBC News, show that Tenet Media entered its new assumed name on the same date, May 22nd, 2023. Now, Tenet, this Russian Front organization, Christian fascist Russian Front organization, in doing their goddamnedest to corrupt our system and get Trump into the presidency. Tenet has partnered with 6 commentators. These are people who are going to be spread the filthy propaganda. And these 6 people, well, I'll leave to your imagination what I think should be done with them. But their names are Lauren Southern, Tim Poole, Taylor Hanson, Matt Christensen, Dave Rubin, and Benny Johnson. The indictment refers to 6 commentators who are not named. What a coincidence. Now, let me bring out the obvious right here, and that is, I doubt seriously if these names are real. If the whole goddamn concept is bullshit to steal the election and hand it to this Christian God, Christ, Jesus demon, Donald Trump, well then names like Lauren Southern and Dave Rubin and Benny Johnson and Matt Christensen are bullshit, and you know it as well as I do. Now, details in the indictment include, they match those of 2 of Tenet's personalities. Rubin, that would be Dave Rubin, and Tim Poole. As of yesterday, Dave Rubin's YouTube channel, which is called The Rubin Report, had 2.44 million subscribers. And the indictment refers to Commentator One as having 2.44 million YouTube subscribers. And a person with over 1.3 million YouTube subscribers is referred to as Commentator 2. And Tim Poole now has, well, you guessed it, 1.3 million subscribers. Mere coincidence! The indictment also refers to 3 other commentators, including one with female pronouns. That would be Lauren Southern. Oh, God. They are so slick, these Russian intelligence agents, right? Pick a name that has a certain cachet to it. Lauren Southern. Yeah, all right. Anyway, the one with female pronouns, the indictment also refers to, but lack any information that could directly identify where they are propagandizing the American people. Now, according to NBC, it's unclear from the indictment the extent to which each of these so-called commentators realized where the money was coming from. Right. The indictment indicates, in other words, that these 6 people with the very well thought out names like Dave Rubin, Matt Christensen, Lauren Southern, among the 6, that they have no idea. Oh, we're totally unaware. Of course, if you're a made-up person to begin with, well, yeah. Anyway, the indictment also stated that Commentator 1 and Commentator 2 were unaware that they were being paid by Russian efforts and had been deceived about the source of the funding. Oh, you can see the case in their defense, if these are real people, being built even as I share it with you, right? Well, we didn't know. Anyway, the indictment also found that almost $9 million was eventually sent, quote, to the production companies of Commentator 1, Commentator 2, and Commentator 3 alone, end quote. And those three payments, according to NBC, allegedly made up 90% of the deposits made to the company's account, bank account, between October 2023 and last month, August 2024. So NBC News got a hold of Tenant Media, and surprise, surprise, they did not respond to a request for comment from NBC News. Now, you would think, wouldn't you? All right, let me rephrase it. I would think that if you are just being charged in a charging indictment, that you are involved in assisting the fascist Russian government in overthrowing your own government, that you would immediately stand up on your hind legs and scream bloody fucking murder, that you were totally innocent, you don't know where these charges are coming from, and goddamn the person who made them. You'd think. But Tenant Media didn't do that. Tenant Media did not immediately respond. And a representative for RT, Russia Today, that television network, a representative responded to a request to comment with a series of text messages, including, ha, 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 ha. That's what one of the messages said. And we got to earn our Kremlin paycheck somehow. That's what a second text message said. Oh, well, that's the oldest trick in the book, right? When you're accused of something as heinous as trying to overthrow your own government, try to laugh it off. Yeah, well, we gotta earn our Kremlin paycheck somehow. And back to the scum involved here. One of them, Poole, that would be Timothy Poole, said in part in a lengthy statement on X, quote, if he is real, the statement said, quote, should these allegations prove true, I, as well as the other personalities and commentators, were deceived, and we are victims. I cannot speak for anyone else at the company as to what they do or to what they are instructed, end quote. That, to my sensitive ear, sounds a little bit Kremlin-esque in its response. Let me share that with you again. Should these allegations prove true, I, as well as the other personalities and commentators, were deceived and are victims. I cannot speak for anyone else at the company as to what they do or to what they are instructed, end quote. Sounds a little bit like a non-English speaker putting together a quick response. But, that's just speculation on my part, right? And then this other person, Johnson, Benny Johnson, on X, this creature, if he's real or not real, is immaterial. He wrote, quote, a year ago, a media startup pitched my company to provide content as an independent contractor. Our lawyers negotiated a standard arm's-length deal, which was never terminated. We are disturbed by the allegations in today's indictment, which make clear that myself and other influencers were victims in this alleged scheme. My lawyers will handle anyone who states or suggests otherwise, end quote. Hey, well, asshole, I suggest otherwise. I think you're a fucking bot. I don't even believe you're real, Benny. You traitorous piece of shit, you. Oh, you're the victims. I see. And Hansen, now which one was Hansen? Hold on, I've got it right here. Taylor. Taylor Hansen. Interesting how they spelled Taylor, Tayler. Oh, well. Taylor Hansen said in part on X, quote, "These allegations come as a complete shock to me and the other hosts of Tenet Media. I want to be as clear as possible. I was never directed to report on any topic and had complete freedom and control over my reporting at all times. I would never agree to any arrangement where I'm not the sole person in charge of the stories I cover and content I create," end quote, which is a non-response response. But this is what propaganda companies, or propaganda operations, I should say, or people who want to destroy America, this is the kind of language they use. I want to make it sure. I would never, never, never have somebody else tell me what to do. Well, like I said, that's a non-response response. No one is charging you with being told what to do. You're being charged with being an operative of the Russian government. But I like your answer. It's pretty cool. If I am ever charged with this kind of shit, I'll know what to say, right? And then Dave Rubin, he said in part on X, quote, "These allegations clearly show that I and other commentators were the victims of the scheme. I knew absolutely nothing about any of this fraudulent activity, period," end quote. So the continuum from these statements is the use of the word victim. I'm the victim. I'm the one. They're taking advantage. Who's taking advantage? I don't know, but somebody is. Woo. And then Christensen. I love these names. Anyway, Matthew Christensen. Isn't that cool? Matt said, in part, on X, quote, "At no point has anyone ever directed me what to say or not to say, and I would never agree to anything otherwise. My videos and streams for Tenet are exactly the same as my videos and streams on my personal channels. Every word is from me and me alone," end quote. Again, in my uneducated assessment of what this turkey is saying, another non-denial denial. Nobody ever tells me what to say. Okay, well, then the only other thing I, as an observer of all this happy horse shit, can conclude is that you are on your own a fucking traitor to the United States. Huh? Since you are putting out propagandized bullshit to destroy the candidacy of Kamala Harris and promote the candidacy of the Christian Nazi Donald Christ God Jesus Trump, and you insist in a very vehement way that nobody would ever tell me what to say or do. Okay, then you did it on your own. All 6 of you. No coordination. You just all came up with the same idea at the same time to put on your fucking little YouTube channels, right? All of this corresponding, interlocking stream of conscious shit is just pure circumstance. No one would ever tell you what to do. We truly have in this country what was referred to by, I don't know, one of the fascist governments, and maybe the Russians back in the day, the Soviets, as a 5th column. Or maybe we used the term originally, I don't know. But we have a 5th column in this country that is dedicated solely to the destruction of the United States, our Constitution, our entire political system, and the replacing of it with a form of Christian fascism that Putin and so many fascist leaders around the world subscribe to. Orban is a Christian fascist. You know, Hungary's bad daddy, and Putin, and Trump. Although Trump is an immoral, or rephrase that, Trump is an amoral, rotten pig fucker who has no religious beliefs until he's lying on his deathbed. If he has a moment to cogitate before he dies, no, I said cogitate. If he has a moment to do that before he dies, I think he'll become an immediate Christian. You think? Hi, Truth Seekers. Mike Malloy here. You know, the Progressive Voices Network brings you commercial-free commentary from today's leading progressive radio hosts and pundits, like me, Mike Malloy, 24 hours a day. I'm not your typical old guy from the 80s or the 90s talk radio host, and Progressive Voices is not your typical talk radio network. It's a listener-supported nonprofit with no corporate control whatsoever over our broadcast. So hosts like me, Mike Malloy, are free to rant and scream and carry on about whatever we like. We're often controversial, but we're never boring. Weeknights, 9 p.m. in the East, 6 p.m. in the West on the Progressive Voices Network. Always progressive, always on. I'm Mike Malloy. Keep it lit.